Did you know that for almost a century, Egypt was ruled by kings from Africa? Much of what we learn about world history focuses on Europe, and often skips over the rich, complex history of Africa. Today, we're diving into some of that forgotten history. Prepare to have your textbooks challenged. Let's start with the ancient kingdom of Kush. Located in what is now Sudan, Kush was a powerful civilization closely linked to ancient Egypt. But it wasn't just linked, it ruled. From roughly 744 to 656 BC, Kushite kings controlled Egypt, forming the 25th dynasty. Imagine that African ruler sitting on the throne of the pharaohs. Figures like Pi, Shabaka, and Tahaka expanded the Kushite empire and left their mark on Egyptian culture. Their capital shifted over time, first to Napata, and later to Meroe, a major center of iron production and trade. The Kushite empire rivaled and then ruled its northern neighbor, leaving indelible marks on its culture. But the standard school books often fail to highlight this African dominance. Next, let's travel to West Africa and explore the legendary Mali Empire, which rose to prominence in the 13th century. And when we talk about Mali, we have to talk about Mansa Musa. His reign, from about 1312 to 1337, marked a golden age for Mali. But it's his pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324 that truly cemented his place in history. Mansa Musa's wealth was so immense, it literally disrupted economies. When he stopped in Cairo, he gave away so much gold that it caused inflation that lasted for years. His pilgrimage demonstrated that West Africa was deeply integrated into trans-Saharan trade networks, a far cry from the idea of an isolated continent. And it wasn't just gold that he gave away. He traveled with an entourage of thousands of people, and hundreds of camels loaded with gold. It showed the world the scale and sophistication of the Mali Empire. Another West African powerhouse was the Songhai Empire, which dominated the region in the 15th and 16th centuries. Rulers like Sunni Ali and Askir Muhammad I expanded the empire and promoted scholarship and trade. But perhaps one of the most mind-blowing facts about the medieval period in Africa is the existence of Timbuktu. This city in present-day Mali was a major intellectual center. By the 14th century, Timbuktu was home to the Sanko Madrasa, a university complex that attracted scholars from across the Muslim world. Thousands of manuscripts covering astronomy, law, medicine, poetry, theology, and mathematics were collected and studied here. In fact, many manuscripts were held in private family collections, not just state archives. These texts reveal a sophisticated scholarly culture that thrived in West Africa centuries ago. But one of the greatest architectural feats was Great Zimbabwe. Flourishing roughly from the 11th to the 15th century CE, Great Zimbabwe showcases complex urban planning and state formation in southern Africa. The stone architecture demonstrates advanced engineering skills. But here's the kicker: for decades, European colonizers wrongly denied that Africans built Great Zimbabwe. They claimed it was built by non-Africans to deny African authorship of monumental architecture. The site's name comes from the Shona phrase often translated as Great Stone Houses. It was proof of African ingenuity. But there's also the powerful story of resistance. Africa's response to colonialism is often downplayed or ignored. Yaa Asantewaa, for example, led the War of the Golden Stool against the British in 1900 in present-day Ghana. Her bravery inspired others to resist colonial rule. Samori Touré resisted French expansion in West Africa from the 1880s to 1898. His military prowess and strategic thinking made him a formidable opponent. And then there's Menelik II of Ethiopia, who defeated Italy at the Battle of Odwa on March 1, 1896, preserving Ethiopian sovereignty. Haile Selassie, who became Emperor of Ethiopia in 1930, later became a symbol of anti-colonial African identity. Did you know that the Battle of Odwa was not just an Ethiopian event? It became a worldwide symbol of black sovereignty and anti-colonial resistance. It influenced black political thought across the diaspora, including in the Caribbean, the Americas, and Africa. And let's not forget the Pan-African movement. Pan-African Congresses helped unite global black political thought. The 1900 Pan-African Conference in London and the 1919 Paris Pan-African Congress were pivotal moments. Major figures like W.E.B. Du Bois, Marcus Garvey, Kwame Nkrumah, Jomo Kenyatta, and Patrice Lumumba championed African unity and liberation. Ghana became the first sub-Saharan African country to gain independence from colonial rule on March 6, 1957, a landmark moment in African history. But why is so much of this history left out of school textbooks? A major reason is curricular exclusion. For decades, school systems in Europe, North America, and colonial Africa emphasized Europe's past and colonizer perspectives. This created the false impression that Africa had no history before European contact. Sites like Great Zimbabwe, Timbuktu, and Aksum are major heritage symbols today. They are used in national narratives, tourism, education, and cultural pride. Modern scholars and local communities in Mali, Sudan, Ethiopia, and Zimbabwe are working to preserve manuscripts, oral histories, and archaeological sites. This is especially urgent because of conflict, looting, environmental damage, and the illicit antiquities trade. The existence of Great Zimbabwe, Timbuktu, Meroe, and the Ethiopian Empire directly contradicts the myth that complex civilization was imported into Africa from outside. These histories matter because they dismantle old colonial claims that Africans lacked statecraft, writing, architecture, and scholarship. Gold, salt, ivory, textiles, enslaved labor, and scholarly exchange connected Africa to the Islamic world, Europe, and the Indian Ocean world. Africa was not peripheral, it was central to the medieval and early modern global economy. African history is often reduced to victimhood, but anti-colonial struggles and resistance movements are equally essential. Odwa, Ashanti resistance, Samori Touré's campaigns, Mau Mau in Kenya, the Algerian liberation struggle, and South African anti-apartheid movements are all testament to the resilience and determination of African people. These aren't just stories from the past. The African Union identity, regional integration, and diaspora connections draw on Pan-African thought. Figures like Kwame Nkrumah still influence discussions of unity, sovereignty, and development. Many African countries continue revising school curricula to center local history rather than colonial narratives. The debate over who defines history remains active in textbooks, museum curation, language policy, and heritage management. So, the next time you hear someone say that Africa has no history, remember Kush, Musa, Timbuktu, Great Zimbabwe, Odwa, and the countless other examples of African achievement and resistance. It's time to rewrite the narrative and embrace a more complete and accurate understanding of our shared past. Africa's story is not one of a forgotten continent, but a vibrant tapestry of civilizations, innovations, and struggles that have shaped the world.